Hello, and welcome to the Cubicorn Games podcast. My name is Dustin Morbido. It's going to be an exciting show. Joining me as always, Lorraine Morbido is here.
I'm a semi-solid consciousness at the moment.
It feels weird to do this, right? Because we usually don't record two shows in the same week. That's technically how this is going.
Time is nothing. It's a make-believe.
But this one's going to be real exciting. We always like to have guests on when we can who are, in many cases, who make indie games, but also just anyone who's involved with video games in any way that just kind of give us a different perspective on a different side of the industry.
There are many facets to the industry.
For sure. And so, joining us today, we have a couple of guests from the game coverage side of things. If you'd both like to introduce yourselves, please.
Sure. Hi, I'm Matt Storm, a.k.a. Stormageddon. I am a DJ and video game podcaster, and I'm very tired.
Hi there, I'm Jen Moonen. I'm a voice actor and a video game podcaster, and the fatigue is going around. Matt and I are both from Fun and Games podcast.
Yeah, that's so cool. And we're already learning amazing things. I didn't know you did voice work. That's so amazing. Oh.
Yeah, we had the extreme pleasure of meeting them both and the third on their podcast, who is not with us tonight, at PAX East this previous March. That's when that was.
The month it was.
That's the month.
Yeah. At some point, we'll have to get Sarah on when she's feeling better too. But
yes, yeah, no, I literally had that kind of what is time moment earlier today, where it's just kind of a demo was released earlier this week. We were recording this in early June for a game that I'm in that we did a whole thing for, and I'm like, God, that was a while ago. It was in May, and it was just at the beginning of the month. It was weeks ago.
That's so cool. Do you want to plug it now? You guys will have room to plug stuff at the end as well, but
I'll plug that later.
Okay.
The game's Cat Secretary, but we'll talk about it later.
Oh, nice! That's so cool. Amazing. That's awesome. Thank you both for making the time. We really appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Thanks for asking us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, and like I said, I kind of just at least ahead of time wrote down a series of questions to ask you both just about what you do, and then we'll kind of get into it as we go. So the first one would be, how did you both meet, and how did you start covering video games together?
Okay, so Jen, do you want to take the how we met part or the how we started a podcast part?
I think I'll start with I'll take the first part.
Okay.
So yes, this is and also to speak for Sarah, our associate producer, who she's not usually on the show, but is very much a boots on the ground whenever we do convention stuff. And she is my partner, and we are avid video game collectors. We've known each other since high school. With that out of the way, Matt and I actually did kind of meet through some of Sarah's machinations and through some of your own stuff, Matt, where we both live in New York City and work or have worked in the nightlife scene. And a friend of ours was getting married and needed two separate weddings, a friends and nightlife friends one and a more like family one.
Wow.
So there was a whole thing where those friends got cheated out of a bunch of money, had to scrounge some stuff up, whatever else. And so Sarah offered her services as an AirSats wedding planner to take care of that. Matt was the DJ for that. And we all got sat at the help table. Friends but help table. And the first of the two weddings was the family one. So huge Chinese wedding, like so many family that we don't know or anything else. And we had so much more like social fun at the other one, but this was just us at that table, like off in the corner. So just kind of going like, so what's up? And I think we might have run into each other before that, but like both Matt and I think like that was when we like really sat down and all of us we all became friends there and just started hanging out from there.
Yeah, and we also had a mutual friend at the table that I don't think anyone knew was a mutual friend. Shout out to Abe Goldfarb. He's an actor and a voice actor and a delightful human. He's also a nightlife producer and host.
He was the officiant at the wedding.
Right, and so he's part of the help, and he was friends with my spouse, Sarah, who is an actor and had worked in drama and a producer of theater, and so had been in and around the theater scene for years, and they knew each other through that. And then Jen and Sarah knew. I almost keep calling him Keith. His nightlife name is Bastard Keith, and so my brain is having trouble
The story for that makes no sense. We can explain it, and there was a reason, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
not important. But our friend Abe knew them through the nightlife scene, and so it was just very funny to me that we kind of all got connected and then had this linchpin. And so as to how the podcast started is, so Jen and I, our spouses are both named Sarah, both redheads, both Jews, and so it just kind of like, we had a lot in common already. And so we became fast friends. And if you have not already realized about Jen and I, is when we get excited about something, we get very animated and quite loud. And so we were all hanging out.
I've calmed down over the years.
Comparatively, yes, sure, I'll agree.
I've leveled off.
Yeah, exactly. I've just gotten more tired. That's the problem.
Hell yeah.
There.
And so anyway, I live in New York and have a tiny New York apartment, a 1-bedroom, and so we were all hanging out, and the Sarahs were working on something else, and Jen and I were on the couch just chatting. We were talking about something very excitedly, and basically either one or both of them turned to us and went, "Oh my God, would you shut up? If you're going to be this obnoxious, will you just go start a podcast or something?" And so we both went, bet.
Now, to be fair, Matt already was producing podcasts, and
Correct.
Sarah Storm was also and has also produced podcasts as well. So in much the same way that Matt was kind of the odd kid out of not exactly being a theater kid at the table at that wedding, I was the odd kid out of not already being in podcast production. So
Basically.
I was like, well, that's funny, Matt. I was like, no, we can do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's go. And so we got started.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where I am not producing that many podcasts, but at the time I was producing at any given moment between 6 and 8 podcasts.
Oh my God.
Four of which were my own, and then there were like 3 or 4 others that I was editing or producing, and then I would pick up some and let some go. I am now only hosting and producing 2 podcasts.
Whittle it down.
That's
Whittle it down. Nice.
Yeah, leveled out. I need to hit a lot of burnout first, but we got there, and now we are managing
Yay.
better than before.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's such a cool story. And in like a little ways, not that different from how we kind of started doing this. Because quite honestly, the only reason we record this podcast as regularly as we do is because I knew for sure that we needed something to post somewhere on a semi-regular basis.
Yeah.
And literally like posting updates on the website or like forcing myself to get on Twitter or whatever equivalent is like much more like pulling teeth for me than just like yapping about whatever is going on in the last week or two. And so that's kind of how we ended up doing this. But no, that is so cool. And you guys are you all New York natives, or did you move to the city? Like,
we're both not exactly, but yes, but adjacent. I mean, Staten Island is New York.
oh, that counts.
Yeah, fuck you. Wait a minute.
Counts for me. I mean,
I am
as
from
an
North
one.
Jersey, and whether North Jersey or Staten Island gets more respect from the rest of New York City depends on who you talk to. Come on.
That is true. But I was born in Brooklyn and moved to Staten Island, and now I live in Brooklyn. But yeah, Jen is one of them Jersey folks.
That's super cool. As a humble Midwesterner, pretty much anything like east of Pennsylvania, it's basically New York City.
Yeah.
So, good enough for us.
And that's the thing where it becomes one of those, like, all about Target, all about, like, when all of us are video game people, and when you talk to anyone who doesn't know video games, it's like, it's like a Mario. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, perfect. Yep.
Versus kind of thing. So
It's one of the boroughs, all right? Like,
Yeah.
it's fine.
one of the boroughs. I'm not, for anybody listening to this that knows the tri-state area, I'm from the Passaic County area. That's like 30 minutes outside of New York City if the traffic's kind.
That's
and
nice.
if it's not, I'm 4 hours outside of Passaic.
Well, that's less nice, but no, that's super cool. Yeah, the handful of times. Oh, go ahead.
But the crappy mall I worked at there, I used to work at the Hot Topic at Willowbrook Mall, and which is probably the main landmark that folks in New York might know because there's no malls in New York City. But
Sure, yeah.
that had an arcade there called Fun and Games, and that's where the name of the podcast came
Oh,
from.
that's fun.
That's so awesome. Yeah, the handful of times we've been in New York, I've really enjoyed it. We haven't been in a bit, like not since not post COVID.
Yeah,
I think we
No,
were.
it wasn't one of the last time, because we went with like my sisters and stuff
Yeah.
later on, but like we were more regularly going there probably about like 11 to 12 years ago. We did 2 Indicate East shows.
Oh,
We were
I even
there.
forgot about
Yeah,
that.
14
oh,
and
bringing
15.
back
That's,
memories.
well, that's where we met. Allegedly, we allegedly crossed paths with Karen and Cole of Pin City.
That's right.
Because they
Oh,
were
I forgot all
technically
about
at,
that.
I think, the
Yeah,
15
'cause
one when
was,
we were there.
2015
at the
we were there and
cocktail
we
tables.
did one of those little like 20-minute stand-up table
Yeah.
things. That's so funny.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was a
so-
super cool show.
Whereabouts in the Midwest are y'all located?
We're right outside of Detroit.
Yeah.
So like Detroit, Michigan, we're right there.
So if
like
you look,
10 minutes from the
look
city.
at the palm of your hand, and if you look at like the kind of like bottom part of your thumb, give or take, like by the wrist. That's about where we are in Michigan.
The most Michigan thing she could do.
I do that to literally everyone because they're like, "Do you actually do that?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, someone will ask me like, "Oh, I went over to here. Like, where's that?" I'll just point to somewhere on my hand. It's amazing. It's so convenient.
Is it palm reading? Is it a map of Michigan?
It's
Who
a little.
cares?
You don't know.
We're gonna get there.
Could be either.
Oh, your Kalamazoo is in retrograde, guys. Like, things are bad.
Man. Ooh, I've never seen. Ooh, no, that's
Ooh.
bad. Well, I've got a lot of
Ipsy,
friends
oh dear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oop. That's an oop right
There
there.
you go.
I've got a lot of friends from the Indianapolis area.
Oh, nice.
And they describe a lot of stuff in terms of because it's gridded out like a telephone.
Oh, sure.
It's like
Yeah.
I moved from 6 to 4, whereas for me I'm like trains. Like you
Yeah,
went
yeah.
from local to express. Okay, fine. And I was also thinking about the fact that kind of on the East Coast and certainly the tri-state area, a little bit of Pennsylvania as well, we do have a lot of indie game conventions and small things that pop up and whatnot. Y'all got the board game tabletop
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
set up.
Yeah, it's weird, but cool.
It-
I mean, I
it-
guess it's a thing that you could do before video games existed when winter was happening. So it makes as much sense as anything, I suppose.
I mean, I go out to Gen Con every year, and I'm going out this year as well, and it's always so fun to go there where you're like, well, you know, how long have all these things been going on? Gen Con's older than Dungeons and Dragons.
It's
Yeah,
ancient.
yeah.
We were. I think the last Gen Con I was at might have been the 50th.
I don't remember.
It
Oh,
was
yeah.
2018 was the
Okay.
last time
'Cause,
that
yeah,
I
it's been,
went.
It's definitely been a couple years since we've been, but I
you
used
went,
to go.
You went one year.
There
longer
was
than
a
me.
time where I used to go every year because
Yeah.
before this, from like early high school through like my early 20s, I played trading card games semi-competitively, and so I would be there
nice.
pretty much every year. Usually playing a version of the Dragon Ball Z collectible card game while that existed, and then at other points, other things.
I've always wanted to, you know, one of those nerdy, if I was just given like an amount of money and you can only use this for something stupid, I want to go buy booster boxes of dead card games.
Oh, it's the best. And it used-
You can do that
it
so
used to
easily
be-
at Gen Con.
Well, yeah,
right?
it used to be. That used to be the
exactly.
thing. It used to be way better. Now, like in a post,
knows?
in a post TCG player world, where that whole sector has been even more financialized than it used to be. Like back in the days,
Yeah.
where it was just like you would pick up a Beckett magazine and that would tell you what a Charizard was worth. Like that thing you're just describing was so much fun because nobody gave a shit about any of that stuff. Just like, oh sure, here's a mountain of like 15 dead games and the booster boxes are $15 each because we just cart them around because we have them.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to throw them
How much
away.
Spellfire can I buy?
Right, exactly.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, if you went at Gen Con, I went to a lot of those. Did you ever go to any of the burlesque shows there?
Oh, I never did, but that was just because we were like, in a similar way to what we do with PAX now, it was like quote unquote business. Like I had
Yeah.
fun hanging out with people, but it was like,
Yeah.
you got a
He was
tournament
in
tomorrow.
Tournaments the
Yeah.
entire like you were in pool play.
Yeah,
for
in those
like
days,
hours,
right,
like
like-
work day.
Yeah, the year that I won one of the huge Dragon Ball Z tournaments there
Mr.
in
World
2003.
Champion.
But the year that I did that, there was like events going like pretty much around the clock, and so it was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go enter this tournament from 8 p.m. to midnight, and then I'm gonna go back to the hotel and fuck around with people until like 3 a.m. and then sleep for 4 hours, and then get up at 7 because we got to go register for this other
Yeah.
thing. So it
Well,
was,
especially 'cause-
oh,
yeah, it's wild. Well, Gen Con has because it is such a venerable convention, the way that you have to buy tickets to get to events, and there's some interesting archaic feelings about it, but they're also, they are all night, all the time. I asked about the burlesque shows because that's why I started going out there. I perform in those.
that's
Sick.
so awesome. It's something I would have loved to do. If we go back, I'll have to like do that. I assume they still do them somewhere, probably.
Oh, I'm going and doing it this year
Perfect. All right. Well, if I don't think we'll make it this year, but I would love. We'll have to hit you up the next time we come down because that sounds like a ton of fun.
Yeah.
as well. Yeah. Well, and I mean the different tabletop and board game stuff still going on over there. I realized as we're talking about this, a friend of mine actually yesterday flew out to Detroit because he's in a Blood Bowl tournament,
Oh, neat. That's so cool.
which it's fun to know that's still going on. But that's a different kind of gaming.
Yeah. That's awesome though. Well, again, that's not an inconsequential part of at least what shaped a love of games in general for me was that kind of like the community and the camaraderie and it was nice. Like that part of art about gaming is still like tabletop gaming can't beat it relative to the video game stuff, right? Of like it is just nice
Yeah.
to sit across from someone and shake their hand and be in their presence while you're kind of like sharing a hobby together.
Yeah, if you do something heinous to them, you
Right.
can come up with some truly horrible strategies and run them in Magic the Gathering Arena. If you run them with your deck at a local game store, you might get punched.
Yeah, no, for sure. Oh, that's
Those consequences matter.
yeah, but that stuff's awesome. Oh, that's so cool. I'm glad we've kind of got that in common too. Yeah, I do. Like I said, I miss parts of that show for sure. And these days, it's just like our travel budget is kind of like we really only have so many bullets to fire in terms of where we can
Yeah.
go in a given year. And now that we're really in the
Yeah.
depths of selling a new video game, it's like,
Yeah.
well, there's not much left in the travel budget for fun for the next like
Yeah.
18 to 24 months. But
Maybe when like post-launch.
yeah,
if
right.
things
Maybe
are, like,
next year. Next year
maybe
might
somewhat
maybe-
calm in quotes, we could figure something else out because it's been a hot minute since I think the last time we went to a convention as just like just for I guess pleasure
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
we went to Too Many Games last year just to hang out because Dustin had actually helped with the indie space curation because we were friends with Brandon? Brandon?
Yeah, he used to run the indie part of that show
formerly
there.
running that
Yeah, and
sector.
so we were part of the indie setup the year before.
yeah, we showed it the year before.
And then the following year, I was like, similarly to the Gen Con thing, right? I was like, well, we don't necessarily have the
the budget.
quite the budget to exhibit here, but we know some other people are going. We'd like to come down for a day or two and just
Mm-hmm.
chill because we didn't go. We
Yeah.
went for like Saturday and part of Sunday, I think,
Yeah.
is what we ended up spending.
And that was the first
It was
time
fun.
we had done something like that in like multiple years at this point. Of just like not tabling at the convention that we were at,
Yeah.
which was fun.
Yeah. I try to go to MagFest every year as a
Love
little bit of I
MagFest.
do some networking, I do some work there, but I don't think they have media badges, so I'm not tempted to apply for one.
Right.
And so there is a bit of like, yeah, you're working, but you're not on the clock.
Oh
so
yeah.
just have fun.
Fun.
Yeah, we're gonna go to. I don't know when. Someday we're gonna go to Magfest for fun because we did a Magfest too.
2024.
Yeah, we exhibited in Magfest exactly once. I might apply again this year.
It was delightful. That's one of my all-time favorite.
Yeah, so there's a
con-going
small chance that
experiences.
if they'll have us, we'll be back at Magfest next year in an exhibitor way. But that's
Well,
up to
I'll,
them.
I'll see you there. Like it's my favorite. It's Goblin time. It's just go and any time of night there is something happening that's you can be so involved with just about anything that's going on there, and there will still be the deepest lore being formed over 72 hours 3 feet to the side of you that you will not hear about until after the show.
Yeah, for sure. And
I
actually,
love it.
That's so amazing. This actually kind of perfectly segues into the next question that was going to be on my list anyway. So we obviously met you guys at PAX East this year. It was, I will say, it was definitely one of the highlights of our show. So
100%.
thank you so much for
It was
trying the game
awesome.
and sitting down, doing that little recording. It means the
course.
world to us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we love featuring. That's the whole point of our PAX East or our PAX coverage, our convention coverage in general, is to highlight all the indie games. Like, we can chat with AAA folks, we love to, but like that's not the focus. The focus will always be the smaller scale folks who can use the promotion, who can use the camaraderie.
I think for us, yeah, it's any sort of AAA coverage is we are part of the vast ocean, and if somebody happens to see us and check us out, our bigger focus is on indie titles, smaller creators, because we're both big believers in indie titles is where a lot of the great ideas come from and where a lot of trends go, and just it's gaming started in garages and in bedroom programmers, and there's no amount of big budget is going to change the fact that game creation is something that can be to the individual, can be to the small studio, can be to the hundreds of people. And those hundreds of people, PR is amongst them. I want to get excited about some folks making a game that makes me excited, and I want to share that with people. Like all of my favorite recommendations I get are people being like, Jen, you specifically, come check this game out.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And
That's media.
I can speak for everybody in the indie space creator wise. We really appreciate it. Yeah, in terms of events like that, how many physical gaming events do you guys try to hit in like a given year? Is there a number? Do you just kind of like do what you can do?
I mean, it varies. So the interesting thing about our convention coverage is it started as we were just fans of the space.
Sure.
I think I had more access early on because I was on a couple of panels right before COVID hit. And that gave me access to some communities that I was then able to bring both Jen and my co-host on Reignite, Frankie, in on. And then at one of the first PAX Easts after the pandemic, we did a panel, both Jen, myself, and Frankie, along with a couple of other creators and industry folks, about queer representation in gaming. And that was kind of like our stepping off point to really meet people and make connections and get established. And then it's kind of been a slow growth since. But like, I went to the very first two PAX Easts before like they were these major things because
Oh.
West was always the bigger
Oh, that's
convention.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's awesome.
It was back when it was PAX Prime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
when they distinguished them the main one and the other one.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then over the last few years, like probably I can safely say that if we didn't have a podcast, Jen and Sarah would still be going to a bunch of these conventions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we've been able to thread them in. The big ones are PAX East, PAX West, and PAX Unplugged. We cover all three of those every year, even if all of us can't make it to them. And then we've covered MagFest in the past. I used to go every year for a while, and then I stopped. I'm hoping to go in 2027. I missed out on 2026, though I tried to. And then, smaller conventions as they come up. We covered FlameCon for a while, which is a small New York-based queer comic book convention. But we had a panel one year that was great, but then the following year we had press badges. There wasn't really anything video game related. We didn't really have a lot to cover, and so we have kind of shifted to just going for fun to that one because I don't want to. They're lovely people, but I don't want to take advantage of a media badge if we don't have anything to cover, and I also don't want to force an episode out with nothing to talk about. And I think after we stopped doing that, it became more fun because then we could just enjoy the space, be in a queer space, and not worry about what content we were making.
And it's in Midtown Manhattan, so it's about equidistant for all of us
Oh,
on
it's
on the
awesome.
team to get to. So it's a good. Yeah, the way that I've often described FlameCon to people, as Sarah as well, where it's like, picture Artist Alley, put it in a Sheridan, everyone's queer.
Hell yeah.
That sounds cool.
That sounds awesome.
There's some panels. Have fun. It's a good time for that. We've done a couple panels and recordings at smaller conventions as well. There's one in North Jersey called A Video Game Con that Matt and I have done a panel or a live episode there, a little bit of coverage, but that one's a little more. The problem with some of the smaller conventions is until you get to a size akin to a little smaller than Too Many Games, things don't last very long. They kind of have it's that whole thing of businesses, restaurants, whatever, they got to make that 5-year mark, and then 98% of them fail before that. So they grow and shrink. A video game con still happens, but it's now more of a vendor floor and a trader marketplace, which
Gotcha.
as a video game collector, I love.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly
As a content
again,
creator.
Yeah, as for games media, no.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's the case for a lot of the stuff around here too. A lot of the things in the Detroit, kind of Ohio, in Indiana, Chicago, that stuff is more catch-all. Like you said, a lot of cases it's here's a gaming convention where it's a bunch of people with Super Nintendo cartridges, and also there's a little, probably combination indie and content creator space, whatever
Yeah.
YouTubers we could get to come and whatever indie games we could
Voice
wrangle
actors
Yeah.
or something.
right, are kind of all in the same row or whatever. And so I still find value in stuff like that for us, just because that's what I've told other people is that you're not going to get quote unquote coverage, as it were, an event like that, but it is a really good place to workshop your stuff. So if you can still do it, I'd recommend just going out and get and go A/B test some part of your game that you're a little unsure of and just kind of see how the public reacts to it. But
That's the thing I've noticed in most conventions, and certainly stuff like MagFest, where people come in either with smaller studios or bigger swings of ideas that you really can stress test them. Any amount of you can be the most off-the-wall thinker. You can be the most lateral planner you can be. You're still one person. You're still one team. Once you start unleashing it to the showered on Thursday and it's Saturday masses,
Yep.
that's when things happen.
Oh, yeah.
Capital T things.
Yeah, for sure. No, 100%.
Having Gen Con flashbacks with that sentence.
Yeah, there's one or two. We know of one or two infamous hallways at Gen Con that by about Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, the smell is going to be trapped in here until God knows whoever's going to need to come in here and clean it out.
It's not everybody's fault. It's actually a minority, but there's so many people. The law of averages is bad.
Yeah.
Right?
for
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Yep. No,
And
100%.
it's also video game conventions, when you go and try something out, you might have a few kiosks set up, you might all be sitting together, but it's quick. The thing I enjoy about Gen Con and board game conventions is you get to really sit down and learn about the game. And unless you're rolling deep, you're going to be sitting with randos, which can also be a lot lot of fun, but also you're rolling that die.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Flipping
every
that
once in a
coin
while,
X number
every
of
once in a while.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. It's just one of
I've
those
rolled ones a couple times there.
Oh no.
It happens.
It happens. It happens. For you guys at an event like PAX, for example, what is your preparation process for an event like that? How do you determine what games you want to schedule a meeting for before the show starts?
So it's kind of a crapshoot. It depends on the year. It depends on the outreach. So on the media side, we get added to mailing lists, and then eventually people will start to reach out. I think the deluge starts like 2 or 3 weeks before.
You start getting trickles about a month plus, like maybe 5-6 weeks at most. You'll get maybe email, and I think Matt, you're right. Around like the 3-week mark, it starts. It's like applying for college. The amount of digital mail you get about everything that's going on, the follow-up mails about it, the like, hey, check us out, no big deal of it all, and for us, that planning largely goes to Matt. Sarah and I will keep an eye. Well, and it's great and super useful for us to have a single point of contact.
Sure.
Oh, sure, you're not tripping over each
that
other
one-
if something
yeah.
happened to catch two people's eye. You're not
bucket.
like, oh, well, I scheduled it for 12 p.m. on Thursday, and I was going to look at it at 4 p.m. on a Friday.
Right. Yeah, we're not double booking the same game or studio. We're not double booking ourselves in the same time slot without talking it out and it being, are we okay with this? Yes, we're okay with this. Because a lot of the coverage we do is on the floor interviews or talking about it afterwards.
Gotcha.
So on the more preparation side, we want to have those things locked in. And so we're all on a Discord server together with a lot of other indie journalists, media creators, everything else. Cool. So there's a bit of sending that around. But for myself, Sarah, and Matt, we've also got our own, text chains and everything going on, being a bit of a like, hey, anytime there's a pinball game that comes up, Sarah, did you see this? How do you feel about this? Sarah, one of the things for her is she loves gaming. She likes games, but there are particular things that are just, I feel out of all of us, she has the strongest opinions.
Yes.
Yes. So she'll be here for the things she wants to be here for, and everything else cannot be bothered. And so,
which is fair. I was going to say, and I think that's the strength is that we all kind of handle things a little differently. The reason that I take lead on the contact is mostly because I've been doing production related stuff email wise for podcasting for over a decade. I used to host a interview podcast that I ran solo. And so I was used to reaching out to people. I was used to blind emailing and just hitting people up without knowing me. And so I have a lot more, I don't know a better word for it than balls to just email people randomly. Yeah, there you go. That too. I mean, the reason that Grant Kirkhope was on our podcast was because I messaged him on Twitter and he went, "Oh, I actually have a form on my website. Message me there." I did. He responded and he came on. And so
that's awesome.
It's continued to grow that way. We've had some really incredible guests because I just went, "Well, I'll ask."
Yeah, right.
The worst they'll say is nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a lot of instances like this where I go, I am a 10% partner. There's times where Matt does 90% of the work, and there's times where I do 5% of the work as far as outreach goes, where it is very much Matt messaging me going, I'm thinking of doing this. Is that too far? No, do it. Cool, thanks. And off they go. It's Matt does front end, I do back end, as on, if you want to oversimplify.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I think that's for the prep side, that's what helps us. Typically we're led by what we love. So obviously if we see a Metroidvania, Jen and I are all over it before the email barely is read. And then from there, it's the genres we like, the aesthetics we like. It used to be for the first few years, me just kind of making appointments and checking in. Now it's become more collaborative where we're on a group text. And if we see something come in, Sarah will mention it or I'll forward it or whatever. Mm-hmm. And there are certain games where I still do not ask, I just book because I know when we want to see it. And we all have the freedom to do that mostly. But because I am managing a lot of the schedule, at least pre-arrival, I just kind of run with it and then check in as we see stuff. Are we interested? How do we feel? What do we think? That's kind of the runway prep until we arrive at the event.
And speaking of arrival prep, we also prepare for that. This is something we've learned over the years and over several conventions. The busiest day is when we want to schedule appointments beforehand, because you're going to have to wait online to get to whatever juicy thing you want to try out, especially even if it doesn't look big and it gets popular. The busy day is rarely the first day. It's usually the Saturday or something like it. So you want to lock those in, and that cuts that down. And we like leaving space, certainly for the last day, for instances like how we all met, where we're going to walk around. It's 3 of us. We like to scatter so that we find things and then reconvene for lunch or for our next appointment and go, hey, come check this out. And that way we're able to, because we've gone with like 14, 16 appointments before we even touch down.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And as the person who edits those, oh, yeah. So,
Yeah. Remember we were talking about 90%, 5%?
Yeah.
the editing.
We found
is
the other side of that ratio.
yeah,
correct.
exactly. Which is why I feel no problem saying that. It's one front end, back end. And
Yeah.
Matt is a capable editor and producer, and I am a capable communicator and PR person, but
Perfect.
divide and conquer. So we realized a while ago that, like, yeah, we would then run into those instances. It was like, oh my gosh, this was so cool. I wish we could have interviewed them, but we never had time. Leave time.
That segues in. I guess I'll ask it anyway, although you largely answered it. My next question was going to be, you guys found us while you were basically just wandering around the show this year. What kind of time do you set aside during an event like PAX to look around for things that might not have been on your radar before the show?
I mean, it comes down to, like, so now how I try and schedule is the first day I schedule for is Saturday, because Saturday is nuts to be on the floor. And if I
Yeah.
have purpose, I don't get anxious. And so we make like 3 or 4 appointments on the Saturday to fill the Saturday, because we're not going to really wander. Thursday, so speaking to PAX East, since it's Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah.
So the Thursday we usually use to get acclimated. We'll have 1 or 2 appointments, but mostly because that's folks who have to take off, and so it's a smaller amount, a smaller crowd. We'll use that day to wander and get our bearings. I would say Friday and Saturday are the days we book the most. And then to Sarah and Jen's suggestion, most Sundays are light. We'll book 1 or 2 appointments, if at all, usually because I also leave on the last day. I don't stay an extra day.
Gotcha.
Which I'm learning is a mistake now because I need recovery time, and so that may change. But we leave the Sunday. So if there were things we saw that we didn't get to, usually we can kind of jump in on Sunday. And like, we were actually lucky this past East. There were a bunch of people we got to chat with where we didn't have an appointment. We just showed up and asked. Like, I was so smitten with Backyard Baseball that I wanted to make sure that we got to do an interview. And it ended up being one of my favorites that we did, just because of how great Lindsay was and how great the conversation was. And so I'm trying to do more of that, and like asking at the booth, even if we don't have an interview, but we got to play the game. Hey, would you want to chat? Whatever. And then with some of them, we do the old, well, we'll email you after the event and then catch up. And there are a few that I still actually have to follow up with. But we try and focus on Friday and Saturday just so we can have the space to wander. Basically, Sarah spends Sunday, like, flips the both of us off and runs off, because that way she can cover as much ground as possible, and then have a ton of stuff to talk about on our wrap-up episode that we do, but also can then at some point, like, shoot us a quick text like, oh, I just played this, you should both check it out, I may want to talk about it, that kind of thing.
I think about, I don't remember if it was last year, West or East, but we kept getting emails about stuff from the publisher Playism that we just completely, it wasn't that we're like, oh, screw these guys. It was, it was always item number 5 when we only had time for 3 things.
Sure.
As far as scheduling stuff goes. And on Sunday, it's a pretty barren landscape as far as getting anywhere. You're able to hop on things a lot faster, try things out. And whereas they normally had like, okay, you need to make the appointment for this game, and then you need to make the appointment for this game. Myself, Sarah, and Matt round robined all 6 games that they had there.
Oh, wow.
Like, we just sat down, did the demo, went to the next one, and just kind of...
Yeah,
and chatted it out.
I think this was East last year, because I don't think I was at West last year. So
that's what I thought. Like I feel like I know where it was. It was near enough to the big escalators.
Yes.
Like, I'm thinking of it relative to the convention centers.
Yeah,
which is
of course.
Sarah and I were talking about this. We don't take a ton of just for pleasure vacations.
Mm-hmm.
So gaming conventions are work, and they are work. But also allowing this time for Sarah to flip us off and go, screw you, gremlin time. I'm going to play things. And then, that's her journalism. Allows for that relaxation, allows for that fun. And rather than being one of those families that's like, oh, we go to, Tybee Island every year. We go down to the Jersey Shore every year. No, we go to the Boston Convention Center and play video games every spring. There's some fun in that, and there's some joy in that. And one of the other reasons we leave the first day open nowadays is because we have relationships with a lot of other journalists and people, and we usually have some kind of like, hey, let's all get dinner, let's all talk this out, and having a network where we're all going to be recommending games to each other over the course of the weekend. The fact that we all came together at East this year was a microcosm of that, of Sarah finding it, dragging me, and then dragging Matt. Whereas there's usually 1 to 5 games that it started as a Discord group chat that then became a server because it was too many people of okay, end of day. We have a channel that is just event, whatever the event is right now.
Yeah.
It's SGF over in LA, and everybody's doing that right now. And Matt and I have had to mute the channel because so much FOMO. But yeah, it's a lot of that, and there are the oh my God, have you played this game? And again, singling each other out because we start to know each other's coverage, proclivities, favorites.
Sure.
And it's oh man, there's a Metroidvania. I need to know what Matt thinks of this one, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. This was not on my pre-list, but now that I'm thinking about it, how do you guys usually get to PAX? Do you fly? Do any of you drive? What's the transportation situation like?
Train.
Okay,
Train.
Hell
perfect.
yeah.
PAX
There you go.
East.
You know,
and PAX
that makes sense when
Unplugged.
you're not bringing all the junk with you like we are.
Yeah.
I bring junk with me, but it is
Yeah.
not that junk. I will fly. I don't like flying. I will fly to PAX West. I'm driving to Gen Con this year, but we live in the Northeast of the United States. The train systems in the U.S. should be better.
Yes.
Right. But
The
100%.
Northeast is probably the
Say
best.
they're as good
Yeah.
as they are in this country currently where you guys are at. So, take advantage of it.
I love telling this dumb story. It's nothing to do with games or anything, but just trains. I've got family up in the Vermont and New Hampshire area, so that's where I go every year for the holidays.
Nice.
And one year coming back, a tree fell on the train tracks.
Oh no.
Didn't hit a train, didn't anything like that. And this is one of those trains that there's 2 a day, 1 up, 1 down. And we sat there for an additional 6-7 hours. But the Wi-Fi worked. The dining car was still open. They even gave everybody a free drink if they wanted one.
Nice.
Hey,
We were across the aisle from some of the best people watching I've ever seen of some folks completely unable to fathom why an Uber couldn't pick them up in the middle of the woods next to a train track. And Sarah was able to get some work done. I was able to get some work done. And I realized if we were driving, we'd have ended up on the news. And
Yep.
if we were flying, this would be dangerous. And I would be on my 5th panic attack. So forever after, I'm like, trains all the way, baby.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
if you can make it work for sure. I do love train travel, and the handful of times I've gotten to do it, it's awesome. Yeah, PAX West is gonna be crazy for us because this is gonna be our first year going, and I'm about 90% sure we're driving it out. So it's gonna be a multi-day,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
it's gonna be a thing, but we'll see how
Godspeed.
it goes.
Yeah. Well, and it's the again, what I can bring, what you can put in your car, what you can bring on a train, what you can bring on a plane. I don't bring super sensitive equipment, but I do bring a Zoom recorder, some SM58s, a couple of some electronics where, depending upon how TSA is feeling that day, I
Yeah.
gotta
Right.
pull every single piece of that out of my
Yup.
bag.
I'm only bringing 3 or 4 portable video game consoles that I'll never touch the whole weekend.
Same.
Yeah,
I
That's
mean,
just
bring
good
all those too.
packing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, what is the gaming thing that you this is a question for everybody. What is the gaming thing that you bring to every convention, every trip, even though you maybe touch it 1 out of 10 times?
I've started bringing my 3DS again to conventions.
Yeah.
Mostly just to try and street pass people, which I have. you want to Street Pass people, too many games, it pops off. Like last year was insane. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, every time you pull out the 3DS, it makes me mourn for that console a little bit because, like, because the Switch makes perfect sense, like from a business perspective, right? Of like that console exists because Nintendo was like, well, we have these two pillars of like
What if
publishing
it was
stuff
one?
on, right? We have technically two
yeah.
audiences for all the things we're putting out. What if we smush them all together into one pile? But like that said, the Switch is not as good a handheld at being a handheld as the 3DS was. And so when you pop one of those back out, you're like, oh man, this is so great! What a cool, cute little thing that I can just whip out and play. And
MagFest is a Street Pass bacchanal.
Hell yeah.
Like, you want a Street Pass? Yeah.
If we get back there at some point, which I hope we do, I'll definitely. Because I started doing it a little bit like I think it was Awesome Games Done Quick 2025 when we went there. I was like, you know what? People will have this is a gaming thing. I could bring my 3DS again, and I did Street Pass a couple of people there, and then since then I've been bringing it basically everywhere just to see like where do I get the most Street Passes from. I recently had it when we were down at Furry Weekend Atlanta. A couple weeks back, and I got a handful of Street Passes every single day, which was cool.
Nice. I'm going to be going to Summer Games Done Quick this year, and
Nice.
I will definitely be bringing my 3DS. Something very silly I'm excited to be bringing my 3DS to. There is a whole bunch of across the country in different cities, a group called just VGM Jam. It's like jazz jams for video game music.
Cool.
I found out about this through MagFest.
Not surprised.
And exactly. Like that was I am also a musician. I play the trumpet amongst other things, but the trumpet's the easiest to take places.
Sure.
And so I started bringing that to MagFest and found out about it. So naturally, that's what I bring to the jams. They are themed every month. And tomorrow is this month's, and it is 3DS themed.
Oh my
and so
God.
the Discord's talking about like, oh man, I got to bring my 3DS with me to this. And I'm just like, do you not bring it with you everywhere?
You're telling me that's not normal?
I brought it with me to several jams, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to Street Pass with people. What is with you? What? No, come on. Are we not nerds?
Are we not gamers?
Are we not gamers? And in one of the semi-regular things that Matt and I do on Fun and Games are console retrospectives. And Matt picks 2 consoles, I pick 2 consoles, we put it to a vote, and on Patreon, our patrons will vote on what our next one's going to be. We bring a guest on, and we reminisce, we do a retrospective. And we ended up last year doing both the 3DS and the PlayStation Vita.
Cool. Oh, I'm a Vita girl. I've been thinking about my Vita a lot recently. Just like I could get that back out. I could play more of that.
I love the Vita. I love the Vita.
Rest in peace, the Vita.
I love handhelds.
Me too. I'm very much a handheld game person.
Yeah, I love PC games. I love console games. PS1's probably my favorite console of all time. I love handheld devices.
It's so
and
nice.
I think we are in a world and an environment of a lot of handheld PCs of, you've got your Thor that is oh man, you can play all the 3DS and DS games again. You have the Steam Deck. You have platforms to play PC games. This is sort of the Switch original sin, I almost want to say. We're like, the Nintendo Switch is a great console. The Switch 2, it's a lovely iteration on that.
Yeah.
And the idea of like the TV, the handheld, whatever. But the 3DS, the Vita, those were devices. They had touch screens. They had NFC. They had Street Pass. They had... The Vita had more touch pads and touch screens than I think any device should have.
Oh, 100%.
And I think they should have had more.
Just put it on every surface.
It's because you have something that you take with you that you don't have to use every piece of it. It's there to try out. Do you want to use the 3D part of the 3DS?
Never.
You don't have to. Like you can shove it in. You can have Super Mario 3D World where it feels crucial. I actually only really see out of one eye, so I don't actually have great 3D vision.
Gotcha.
So I frankly appreciate that. But it's I'm just rehashing the stuff that Matt and I talked about on that episode. But it's like
3DS is great, man.
And both the 3DS, the Vita, they're the right size, and the things that were made for it were made for it.
Yeah.
You have smaller
Such intentional
handheld things.
design.
Yes. There was an article recently that was like, oh, the Steam Deck's gotten so much more expensive. The golden age of the handheld is dead. I was like, this is not the golden age of the handheld.
Y'all are making it computers. It doesn't need to be computer. It just needs to be a weird little box that plays my weird little games on it. That's all I need.
I like, that's the thing. If the Playdate had a cartridge slot,
Oh, sure.
I would never shut up about it.
Yeah, it's just it's a different thing. Like, technically, they are devices that you can play in your hands, but they are not quite the same thing as the stuff that came before, for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, for me, most conventions I'm trying to bring the console I'm most actively playing lately because Jen and I have had the privilege of covering a lot of stuff. If I'm playing a game for coverage during a convention weekend, likely I won't play it, but if I have time, I will play it.
That's
I
what the
tend to
drink's for.
Right. I tend to bring the Steam Deck always just because since 99% of like review keys and early access keys and demo keys are Steam because it's just easier to get those keys.
It's so
yeah.
convenient.
It's
Yeah.
so convenient to have it, give it a quick download. There were some games that we got code for where I was able to play the game when I got back to the hotel room, and that was really fun. So I tend to bring my Switch. I will bring my Steam Deck and another console. It was my Switch, now it's my Switch 2. I want to start bringing my 3DS again. I recently hacked it through totally legal means, Nintendo, if you're
Oh, of
listening.
course.
That's right.
It's on the up and up.
They're following us.
I literally Twitch streamed my hacking of my 3DS and nobody came for me, so I think we're okay. But I wanted to do it because I love that device. It was right after we had done our retrospective, and like there were tons of 3DS games I still haven't played, as well as a ton of eShop games that I'd always wanted to play, like Box Boy and Pushmo, that I'd never played. And so I hacked it, and so I do have a bunch of those games downloaded. And so like I've been wanting to carry that around more. Basically, once I get through Mina the Hollower, which is my current portable game du jour, which I am playing on
Same.
the Switch 2. Yes, I bought the Switch 2 copy.
Yeah, we got review codes on the Steam Deck for PC. A, because they're more plentiful, and B, because they came out faster than the console.
Oh, yeah.
So we're
Sure,
like,
yeah.
we'll do Steam. Matt messaged me like 3 days later and being like, is it bad if I also buy it? and no, it's not.
And part of it is I committed to participating on a podcast. It's a great flaw of mine, and so I'm playing another game to guest on that show, and it's taking up all my time. So I literally played the first hour of Mina and then didn't touch it, and so now it's well past the release, and I went, well, if I'm only an hour in, might as well buy it on the console I'd actually rather play it on, because I also
Yeah.
have all the Shovel Knight games on
Cool.
Switch and all of that. So like, but that said, like, once I get through Mina, I think, and I think the next few games after that are going to be AAA games. My September is screwed. PlayStation ruined it for me yesterday in the best way.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause two of my most anticipated games of the last 5 years are coming out in the same month, 2 weeks apart. Which again, good for me. But
Yeah.
and I like happy to play Wolverine and Control Resonant. But that means I will be do.
September. Goodbye.
Yeah, basically.
Ain't that just the way?
Yeah, and so I'm so grateful PAX West is at the very beginning of September.
Oh,
Otherwise,
yeah,
it would
get that out of
ruin
the way.
everything. But to that end, because I will be playing my console at home a lot more, I think I will be able to pivot. Because if I'm playing a game for a review, I try and play it on my commute if it's on a handheld. But once I'm done with Mina, and I don't foresee any indies like that are jumping out at me, at least at this moment, I'm sure they'll drop on me later, I will start carrying my 3DS around more, because I do miss having it with me, and I do want to play a lot of these games that I'd never gotten to play on it.
It's just easier to fit in my pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
I'm
Such a good size.
just be a pro and get a backpack that fits your Switch. It has a little pocket. I'm set. It fits my laptop. It fits my Switch. I'm good to go.
I did have a little backpack back in the day that was Nintendo DS branded that could fit the console and fit multiple games and Game Boy Advance games in it.
Nice.
It
Nice.
was like one of the, like they're in vogue now, like the little backpacks. It's a little
Oh,
bit
yeah, I get
narrower
what
than
you're
that because
saying.
it was a little more like DS form factor.
Got a little more fashiony ones. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like
Oh,
it
God.
it was beautiful.
I'm trying to remember. There was a company that made these beautiful. Like, look, if you want a case for your Game Boy Advance, your DS, your Switch, if you wanted to have Pikachu everywhere, easy, super easy. You can have the Triforce, whatever. But if you want it to feel a little more luxurious, a little more adult,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, what is the name of this company?
It'll
Hold
come back
on,
to you at like the weirdest
Some
time.
nice looking faux leather or something like that.
No, it was. They did them in canvas. They did them in leather.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm looking this
Oh,
up
go,
right now. 'cause
go for it. Yeah, and for me, it's just the thing that I always have on me is pretty much just the Steam Deck, and that's partially because
Yeah.
most of the stuff, if I am playing anything on the go, it's going to be some weird little thing that we found on Steam or that like somebody recommended us or whatever, and then it serves the dual purpose for us of just like it did with you guys. Actually, it is our like break glass in case of capacity object. We're like, oh yeah, okay. When you just need one more person to play the game,
So
here,
we just
take
have
it.
it with us, yeah.
Come on back here. Play the Steam Deck. Yeah. The name of the company is Waterfield.
Waterfield.
They
Cool.
make a series of bags called City Slickers that
neat.
are made to fit like 3DS, new 3DS. They make one for the Vita. They apparently they're currently sold out of them, but looking at this, they will return in September.
Oh, nice, cool.
So they
Well, if you
they
want-
have gaming cases for Steam Decks and Switches. And
Oh, yeah. Oh, those look...
yeah. If anyone out
Gorgeous.
there wants something fancy, not sponsored,
Goddamn
but, you know.
Yeah.
No, they do.
My-
Those look like legit bags. Like, you would not suspect.
Yeah, you could walk around any financial district holding one of those, and people they just think you're fancy because
Yeah.
you are.
True.
That's amazing.
Why not be gamer but fancy?
Right. Like, look, I'll have my 3DS in my Persona Q themed super day glow bright case right now. It's I love that thing.
Speaking of the things you play stuff on and what you play on them, I have two more questions for you both that are pretty similar. The first one is, other than attending physical gaming events, what is the most common way you find games that you want to cover? And this is more in the indie sense. It's like, is it social media, Next Fest, direct outreach from developers? Like, where do you guys, by volume, find the most stuff you ultimately end up checking out?
That I feel like that question's evolved over the years. Like it
Sure.
used
Yeah.
to just be from creators I loved, YouTubers I followed for a long time, like that kind of thing, or like social media posts about games. I can speak to the most reliable game recommendations I get are from Jen and other friends. Like
Likewise.
my love of both Shovel Knight and Shantae are because Jen at one point with both of those games went to their personal gaming library and went, here, go play it. And I loved them both so much, the original Shovel Knight and Shantae Half Genie Hero, that I stopped playing them several hours in, brought them back and said, I need to give this back to you. I need to own it first and then play it because I love it so much. And so that kind of stuff, I think Jen and I over the years have gotten to know each other pretty well, that at this point, like say an indie studio is making a dating sim mixed with Castlevania or Metroidvania, both of us, independent of each other, found it and went, we have to play this, and then ended up interviewing those devs. They were wonderful. But the game is called Romancylvania, for those who don't know. It was phenomenal and cheesy and ridiculous, and I
Beautiful.
continue to highly recommend it.
It's very fun.
But for stuff that's not directed just from personal friends, I mean, a lot of it now is coming from just media outreach. Like, if I see something that comes into my like, a lot of it is I watch a lot of the directs and SGFs and game showcases. Like, I like to be up on that stuff. But also a lot of it has just come, I think, naturally from being so much more connected to the games industry than we were before. And so
Pretty much.
often we will get something in our inbox like as or around it's being announced. I mean, honestly, no, I have the answer. The biggest one is probably 6-1 Indies work. Their showcases twice a year. They always show stuff that I go, well, my wish list is fucked because I now have to add 30 games to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I think that's my strongest one. And, getting to know Mike and Kyle, and now just Kyle is running the show, but, getting to know those folks over the years and, so there's a game that was announced in their last, so this is 2 directs ago, called Bobo Bay, and it's basically an indie game version of the Chow Garden from Sonic Adventure 2, one of my favorite things of all time. And when we got to see the showcase ahead of time, the 6-1 Indie folks were lovely enough to show it to us. And before that trailer came on, Mike Towndrow was staring daggers into me because he knew I was going to pop off for it, and I did. And so, it's that kind of direct recommendation from folks in the industry that we know and love who do that kind of awesome curation, I think is the best place. Wholesome Games Direct as well, which is coming up this weekend. All of that stuff, I think, hits harder now because we know those folks and also because they are curating some of the best indies out in the world.
Right. And it kind of is an evolution of, we were talking about this a little while ago when we had Ty and Aiden from Fun Factor on the show. Fun Factor podcast looks at older gaming magazines
Ooh.
and sort of it's a book club for gaming magazines of what was the writing like in the Wild West of, booth babes and edgy 90s comics humor, as well as what were these historical pieces of how we thought, games that are deified nowadays, how did they sound in previews when nobody knew that they were going to be, Chrono Trigger kind of thing.
Yeah.
But talking to them, they are games journalists of a deeper stripe and of a longer tooth than us. And the thing is, nowadays, with layoffs in the studios and in publications, the evolution of a parasocial relationship has also come into journalism, where there are a lot of times that, to the end that Matt's talking about, that we get recommendations from friends or friends in the industry, whether developers or media, about things that they enjoy, we enjoy, they think we might enjoy. And it becomes a bigger thing of, nowadays, whether you're a developer, media, consumer, whatever, finding those people that you click with, that you align with. And it's not just they're doing a review about this genre of game. How does that person feel about this genre of game? If you don't know, the anecdote I love telling about this is, as I mentioned before, Sarah is a pinball fiend, fanatic. I said we don't take a lot of vacations. Next week, we're going to Asbury Park so that we can play pinball for 2 days straight. And we were at whatever small vendor floor, and Sarah found a copy of Mario Pinball Land for the Game Boy Advance. She'd never heard of it. She was like, I love Mario. I love pinball. How have I never heard of this? I was like, I remember seeing a review for this on IGN. It was like a 5 or 6 out of 10. They did not like it. And, we had age of smartphones. I look it up. She's like, give it to me. She looks at the review. I lose track of her for 5 minutes while I'm just chatting with the person behind the counter. I'm looking at more games. And she just goes, we're getting this game. This person sucks at pinball. The way that they were writing about it, it's like, it's hard to hit these specific targets. And they want you to do these things. That's like, yeah, you mean like in pinball? Get good. This is $10. We're buying this. And she loves it. So having those relationships, whether fostered through friends or forged at conventions, or just knowing I know who to look to on Blue Sky, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube for thoughts that I'm going to 80% or more vibe with about this game, about this genre, is crucial nowadays. The games media is getting decentralized, so we have to curate our own AirSats gaming magazine and find the reviewers and voices that we enjoy and follow.
Yeah, it comes down to, so there's several games journalists that I followed basically their entire career. One of them is Patrick Klepek, who's now currently on radio.
Oh yeah.
Love Patrick. I've gotten to meet him quite a few times. He's delightful, and I've learned over the years, reading his reviews and engaging with his podcast, that if he loves a 2D platformer, I will likely also love that 2D platformer. If he doesn't like a story-driven RPG, I may love it because of what he disliked, right? And that's getting to know someone whose art you've read for a long time. It's informed the reviews I write. I've been writing monthly reviews for Fun and Games for almost a year and a half now. And so it's just that kind of thing where you have to find creators you trust that you know well enough that you either will agree because you align, or you know why you disagree and you still want to check the thing out. A lot of people wrote off Star Wars Outlaws last year or 2 years ago. Time's a late.
Whatever.
And
in the past.
And and they were complaining, the stealth isn't great. I don't like to run in and shoot and blah, blah, blah. But no one was really talking about the story. And I was like, I got offered a review code from Ubisoft. Shout out Ubisoft. And I was like, let me try it. I love the characters in the world. I love playing as a scoundrel. Like all the stuff that no one was talking about, basically the story, I love about that game. Yes, the mechanics are mediocre. Yes, the gameplay isn't great. But the narrative is one of the best Star Wars narratives I've encountered in quite some time that doesn't involve a Jedi. And I loved that about it, but no one was talking about it. And so sometimes you have to go out of your way to find why, we did a whole podcast episode on the mediocre game, the 7 out of 10 game, and how I threaten to tap the sign every time just because a game is a 6 or 7 out of 10 doesn't mean it's not worth playing. Arguably, it's more worth playing because the flaws also show you something. And so,
Yeah.
like, it's that kind of thing too, is like understanding why people do or don't like something and why they would or wouldn't recommend it, and then making your own educated choices. Because I'm sorry, I'm getting on my review soapbox, but there's no such thing as not having a personalized opinion about a game when
Yeah.
you review it. You bring
editorial.
you bring your influences to everything you do. And I used to be afraid to write reviews and share like my personal experiences or why I did or didn't like something, but it never shined brighter than with Mixtape this year, a game I loved and might be one of my favorite games of the year so far, where a lot of people didn't love it. And the reality is, I grew up wanting to be a music producer. I literally am Stacey Rockford. I walked around with a CD player all the time and listened to music 24/7. Like that character was me, so I related to it. But if someone doesn't relate to that character for a host of reasons, the whole game hinges on that. So of course you didn't like it. And I think the thing about finding recommendations and understanding yourself as much as the person recommending it. And not everyone can be Jen or Sarah, people I know really well who know exactly laser targeted what I like. But I can get to know reviewers and writers that way to know exactly how they vibe and then interpret from there.
No, that's amazing. And I appreciate that perspective so much because that's how I approach games in general too. And it frustrates me like a big thing that frustrates me about games coverage. And this is even necessarily from reviewers, but more from like the average Redditor or like
Yeah.
person who just posts
The
on
lay
Twitter or whatever.
people.
Let's say like I feel like there's such a strong impetus to always kind of be ready to canonize like the next great game. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we have finally found the
Yeah.
next. This is the
This.
best first-person shooter that there's been in the last decade. This is the best indie platformer, whatever the thing is, right? And to me, there is so much more nuance than that about like, oh, but is there one amazing thing about this game, either in general or to me specifically? Like that is a conversation worth having, right?
Oh yeah, I'm so much more about a game's intent.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what are they trying to do? Do they succeed at it? I am a huge advocate for the game Trombone Champ. That is a totally ridiculous game. It shouldn't be in museums as the greatest game of all time, but I think it's a 10 out of 10 game because it succeeds. It exceeds expectations at exactly what it's trying to do. And I love every moment I spend playing it.
Yeah.
I haven't played it that often recently, but like I still go back. Like I need to blow off some steam. I'm going to go be really bad at trombone and a baboon mask for a while.
No, for sure. And that's great for multiple reasons. A game can be successful on those merits alone, right? Of like, oh, there is just something about this that like it resonated with me. I enjoyed it.
Right.
I liked that. And on top of that, even if it is someone like you can tell that they were shooting for like, a home run and they hit a single or whatever, then they'll let them know that, right? Like so then the next game
Yeah.
that hopefully their next thing, hopefully they do get another at bat, right? And the next thing learns those
Yeah.
lessons and does improve in the ways that like they wished, the first one would have been a little more polished or like resonated a little more or whatever. And so like any of those
Yeah.
conversations I think are so valuable to have and are so much more interesting than just like, oh, is this game the next like 10 out of 10? Well, never mind.
Forget that. Am I going to enjoy myself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Universal acclaim is boring. And like, it's funny. I'm starting to experience this. So there's a game that I've been holding up for years that I loved and that I made Jen love. I'm kidding. Jen loved it on their own. But Slay the Princess was a game that like at PAX East a couple years ago formed a crowd. People couldn't believe what they were watching. And then I went and played the demo and said, this is one of my favorite games ever, and have been lauding it since. But over the last couple of years, I guested on an episode of Tales from the Backlog with Dave Jackson, who's a mutual friend. He didn't really love it. He didn't hate it, but like he had issues with it that I didn't have. And it was a more interesting conversation for it. Another podcaster who I respect a great ton is Rick Firestone, who does Pixel Project Radio. He recently just played it, and he explained that he liked it, but there were a lot of things that were misses and why they were. And that is a much more interesting paragraph to read than me going, I love this, go play it. But we're communicating different things. And I think that's ultimately what's really important here is that there should be nuance to what you're talking about. Hyperbole is great if you want to use it, and I weaponize it sometimes,
Yeah.
mostly to get people to play something. But for the most part, like I want to share why I loved something, and if you relate to what I loved, I think that's going to be more powerful than just this is the best game ever, go play it.
Yeah.
And intent matters as far as what game experience you expect going into something. One of my favorite games that came out this year is Love Eternal, a horror precision platformer. And the horror is eldritch.
Okay.
And if you go into precision platformer being like, oh, this is just going to be Celeste or what have you, you're going to be a little disappointed because yes, there is that level of precision. There is that level of the platforming plays beautifully, brilliantly even, but it's used in service of a narrative. And so when it starts being a little more narrative at times and a little less precision platformer, that even more so than something like Celeste would, where they have their cutscenes, this gets wilder.
Okay.
And so some people got a little frustrated, upset, or down about it because it's like, well, why are we doing this? You're not playing this for that. I'm playing this for an eldritch horror story that utilizes the flow state of a precision platformer to take you places. And so I could have the same experience as somebody, but depending upon what my expectations are going into it, I'm going to feel them realized or dashed. I'm going to find like Matt was talking about, things where, well, this is a huge problem for me. It's not a problem for me. Let's think about any kind of game where you have to do grinding for experience, materials, anything else. Ask me every 15 minutes how I feel about grinding in a video game, and you're going to get a different answer.
Yes, correct.
And especially, like, you're going to have to be more specific about the kind of grinding and the expectations. But the problem is there's so many things. We need to get at them as quickly as possible. We need to have an opinion right now. We need to have a big swing to say on it. And it's easy on Reddit, on social media, to pick the negative thing and amplify
Right,
it.
to find the flaw. Like, I the magnifying glass is out, I discovered it, there it is.
Yes. Aha. I'm an actor, which means I've had a lot of really stupid jobs. Jobs I loved, lovely jobs, but they are stupid. I was an elf at Macy's, 34th Street in Midtown for nearly a decade.
Oh, no.
And the amount of adults that felt really proud of themselves for trying to find some kind of flaw in "Is Santa real?" to me. A true 100% 6-foot-tall elf. A magical goddamn fairy tale creature. Thanks, you did great. Buy your photos over there. Merry Christmas. Yeah, let's take a magnifying glass of this and feel real proud of ourselves. But these are expectations, and these are things that we're trying to get at. And it does mean that we have to take those deliberate moments and define what we're expecting and what we're coming in for. And if it does or doesn't meet our expectations, is that a flaw of the game, or is that just an ill fit? The shoe's not bad just because it's 2 sizes too small for you.
Yeah,
It's
perfect.
still a good shoe.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. I love it. Cool. Well, my last question for you both. Discoverability is obviously one of the biggest problems facing like devs of our scale, like tiny little indie teams just trying to get their stuff out there. I do think to a large extent it is mostly unsolvable. Like it is like, the torrent of email is too wide, the number of things that are dropping on Steam are too big. But all that said, do you guys have any tips on how indie devs can better reach out to you or to people, to other people in the press space to just attempt to at least get like a crumb of attention on these things that we're working so hard to get out there into the wild?
I mean, I think my first suggestion is get out to events, right? Like, I don't think I would have looked at your game if I just got an email about it, just because you get so many emails. And I remember, and I told Sarah this, and I think I told you guys this, I walked past your booth and I went, oh, that looks cute, and didn't give it a second thought because I was processing whatever else I was looking at. It took Sarah going, playing, and then dragging me over, and of course I loved the game after I got hands-on with it, but
Same.
It's just we are succumbed to our our own biases and our like tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And
There's
so I think
so much happening.
Yeah, and like you were saying,
Yeah.
like leading up to the show, the volume of email is so vast. If I'm flipping through 30 of these in an afternoon, click read next.
Yeah, you look at the key art maybe and try to find like some keywords, which to that thing I was just saying a second ago, a deliberate effort is necessary, but none of us can do it 100% of the time, and we all mess up.
Absolutely.
We're all just people at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
totally.
How terrible.
Awful.
And so I think there's of course an accessibility barrier for getting to a show like that. It's not cheap, but I think email can go a long way, but also just being in communities. Like I have discovered more podcasts, more games, and made more friends just in community discords, like getting to chat with people, especially as social media gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
Like I spend more and more time in discords discovering other podcasts, other games, and all sorts of stuff. And like, even if you join just as a fan to like check out a podcast you like, and then as you get to know folks, you go, oh, every server has a like promo channel. It's like, oh, I'm working on this thing, y'all should check it out. And I think also reaching out directly to people, personalized emails take longer and are harder, but I think go a lot further than like a mass email blast. And like checking out, most podcasters have their contact info, shooting an email. I'll say the one thing that turns me off quicker than anything else from emails I get is if someone sends me an email going, hey, I've included a key, no pressure, you don't have to check it out. I was like, nope. All right, again, then I won't check it out because I don't have time. Like, I don't like because nobody is sending that hoping you won't check it out, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
But like, I want to have a conversation about something. If you throw something at me, I'm going to dodge and keep moving. I'm not going to take it.
We're New Yorkers. We have walked through Times Square and had someone shove their mix CD in our hands.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Like this is that. I don't care that it's free or that you're now trying to get $20 from me because you shoved it in my hand. The thing is, no matter what, the personal touch and a personal connection is always going to go a long way. And more than having a sponsorship or a specific streamer, you build champions for your cause kind of thing. Whether one of us stumbles upon a game and for whatever reason by someone else's post or just happen to, and then go, everybody needs to know about this. Any one person, passion will come through. Passion in game development will show in the product. Passion in enjoyment will come in the personal recommendations and advertisements. Hey, Chad, I'm just trying out this great new game. It's fantastic. You got it. It's so cool. And if you use the code now, we can see through that. Everyone can. We do want to support the smaller people who are taking Raid Shadow Legends sponsorships.
Everybody's got to eat, right?
Everybody's got to eat. Like, look, I got a
True.
Pokemon YouTuber that I love watching his stuff, and every time he's got to talk about boot.dev or Raid Shadow Legends, I'm just like, man's got to eat.
That's
All
right. Bill's
cool.
got to get paid.
Bill's
Take their
got to get
money,
paid.
please.
Right. But the thing is, there is always at a PAX, at any gaming convention where Matt goes, I go, Sarah goes, any of our other friends go, all of us are going to pick up a game that's going to be like, whoa, I need to tell everybody about this. And we take up the cause. And we come out of that and people are like, hey, what'd you play? We played Super Cucumber. Thank goodness Sarah went and played it because the rest of us checked it out. I was a huge advocate for the game Crystal Mancers at PAX East. That was another one that was out there. Like any of these that are just like, and that's the problem where that is the goal. And I think that is going to be the strongest point of visibility, of advertising, of whatever you want to call it. But how you reach that and how you get that is going to be different for every person, every event, every title. But look, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis fights happened because people cared about those systems. Also because their parents weren't going to buy them the other one, so they had to justify the purchase. But that passion is there in all of us that play games.
Yeah.
And so getting people who are on board for your indie title, we also want to be the one on the ground floor being like,
right.
Oh man, you all like the people who played Balatro before telling before everyone got on board feel like royalty. I'm sure.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And I think to that end, also what we're doing here is also a great way. I mean, you don't have to start a podcast and do it for 12 years to promote your game, but it doesn't hurt. But I mean, I've always said, and I've said it many times, a rising tide raises all ships. I think that there's this inherent combativeness to the arts that sucks, that pits everyone against each other. And like there is room for all the podcasts and for all the people to work together and communicate. It's why I've started some of the communities I'm a part of, is to like help people meet and collaborate. And so, if you don't have a podcast, but you like guesting on podcasts, you like talking about video games, like reaching out to people, I think that's all really helpful. There's no limit to the amount of joy other people want to share in discussing art. And I think it's just finding the communities. And I think, again, the indie community, I think there are a lot of reasons Jen and I focus on indies besides the obvious that we are indie ourselves in our podcast size. But it's that end that like this collaboration is helpful for both of us. Y'all have an established audience because you've been doing this podcast a while and you've been doing game dev for a while. We have an established audience because we've been doing this kind of work for a while, and both audiences can benefit a lot from both of the things that we do, because if you like this podcast, you'll likely like our podcast. If you like the games that Jen and I typically talk about, you will definitely like Super Cucumber. So like, I think that kind of commonality too is really powerful, of just collaborating with folks in the same kind of independent space that you're in to, lift each other up.
Yeah, for sure. And
100%.
to bounce off both a little of all of that, honestly, like one thought I had, because at least one of you mentioned earlier that like indie can be the groundswell of a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity. I definitely think there's a lot of truth to that. I think there's also a much more banal truth to like the way the game industry is now, that the incentive structures are just more positive for indie devs, and that like there's no benefit from being the most manipulative, grindy, brainwormy type concoction in the indie space, in the same way that there is in like AAA big budget stuff, where they want to keep you locked in and like turn you into a whale and get you to spend $400 on skins or whatever.
Yeah, ever since I was a kid, me and my two best friends wanted to make the best freemium game on mobile.
Right, exactly. And
I've literally been saying that my entire life.
Entire life.
And
Before
so
I even knew
it's just-
freemium was,
yeah.
it came in a dream.
It's just kind of wild that that's the place that we're at. We're like, oh, if you do want something where people cared, like, it's not like people working on AAA games don't care, but their bosses will make sure that the other stuff happens, like that the monetary stuff and the engagement stuff is taken care of before anything cool is put into that video
What
game.
they care about might not be front and center in what the product is trying to
Right,
be.
and the incentive structure for
Yeah.
indie stuff is really, that's not the problem. It's just like
How weird
building
are
enough
you?
runway.
Okay.
Yeah, building enough runway to get a thing out the door, and then hopefully finding someone to play it, which
Yeah.
is just a very interesting dynamic at this point.
Well, most indie studios don't have the reach to worry about all the different markets and how it will play. When Matt and I, and Sarah as well, kind of give the elevator pitch on fun in games, we come from the idea that no one person can play every video game, and every video game could be somebody's favorite. So it's why Matt produces side quests where people come on and talk about a game they love, so that there's positivity out there, and so we can find that passion in those things. But whether or not those games had reach, an indie studio is making the game they want to be making. And people will pick that up, whether or not it happens immediately or it's among us and it takes years or whatever else. A larger studio has a larger reach and larger consequences to think of as well. And that's how you shave all of those edges off. And I do not believe in auteur theory. Like, it's bunk.
I agree. I totally agree.
Everything's a group effort. Exactly.
Yeah.
But smaller teams allow for everyone's personality and passion to shine through, and those jagged edges that make those beautiful 7 out of 10 games or those surprise 11 out of 10 games come from an indie space that allows for that.
Yeah.
That
No,
secret sauce.
I totally agree. And to the point, I usually tell people this has been more my philosophy as we've built Cucumber or any of the stuff that we've made. I definitely because you have to make a lot of hard decisions, right, about what to invest in and like what you want your product to be. And And for us, I always will tell people to try to make a game that is someone's favorite game, but do not try to boil it down to the middle ground of whatever you're going for, because that's a thing.
Don't
that,
make everyone's favorite.
Yeah, don't try to make a game that everyone is okay with. Try to make a game that a small subset of those people will love for the rest of their lives.
Find the freaks.
Find the freaks.
Get the weirdos.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then the last thing I was going to say, based on which I also totally agree with, and that's another piece of advice I give to people, is I do think, like you said, it is a big time and money commitment, but I do think it is worth it to invest to go out to physical events if you can, because again, it's just so different. It's always meant a lot to me in the time that we've been doing this, but even more so now in the age of AI slot bullshit, of just going and seeing human beings, seeing real people and being that's a person. And they sat down and they played my thing and they seemed to really enjoy it. It definitely wasn't a bot, right?
Yeah.
Neither Sarah and I enjoy speedruns. And I'm gonna be going to Summer Games Done Quick. I'm now getting involved in volunteering and stuff with that community. I've always loved speedruns, but never been much of a speed runner.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the MagFests, maybe 2 years ago, I want to say, in the indie space, Sarah and I found a game called Lumina Rush that is very much speedrunning style, precision platformer, all the different buttons are stick to this wall, zoom this thing, do whatever, straight up colored vector graphics kind of, we don't need to be flashy here, just go. And they made a speedrunning course for MagFest. Sarah and I got on the leaderboard for that, and we just kept going.
Nice.
I would not have found this through an email. I would not have found this through a Next Fest. I would not have found this through anything. But it was just wandering around. Sarah is also a very competitive person. And one of the reasons she has not gotten into speedrunning is that she likes going outside.
Yeah.
Right.
Good for her.
I know this won't necessarily be good for me. Like, yeah, sometimes you just need to be honest with yourself.
And so having those moments where you can indulge that part of yourself and just go for it. And so seeing a whiteboard that was a leaderboard of times, like, oh, what's this? Oh, our speed course. Give it to me.
Yeah.
And I bought the game immediately, and I've played it since, and I had a great time playing through it. And yeah, those moments, those connections, the random elements, the personality people that goes into the design, the facet of bringing it to the delightful masses and what they see about it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we can mark on our growth as a podcast every time we've gone to an in-person event.
Yeah.
We have had some incredible bumps from really cool guests, and they still remain some of our favorites. But there's also heavy drop-off with really popular guests. People tune in for that one episode
And then
don't really
bail.
stick
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. Like we had Yuri Lowenthal on twice, and
Cool.
those are some of our more downloaded episodes. But
And we love Yuri, and we will happily have him back whenever Spider-Man 3 gets announced, because we know it's coming eventually.
right.
But like that thing of like when we go to a convention and Jenna or I are on a panel and like we get to hand out business cards and shake hands, like those connections last, and then a random person will download our entire backlog and listen to it, which God bless you. There's almost 10 years of content and joy.
Yeah.
Most of it's good. Most of it.
We'll go into Libsyn and just like see a spike and go, oh, someone got the backlog. Cool.
But like we've seen real growth over the years, and it's because of the way we not only focused in on the live events and meeting people, but also upping our recording game, getting better with the equipment, cutting down the interviews, I think the most recent episode we did on East is one of our best because we also only had 7 or 8 interviews, whereas usually we have like 10 to 15. And I think focusing it down and having less and having them, more condensed and more focused has been really helpful.
Yeah, we used to just kind of I used to just kind of cut them for ums and uhs and a little bit of, content and pauses and just put them up as is. And we were having 3-hour episodes. Last year, one of my favorite games that I saw was Secret of Weepstone from Dread XP. And that interview was longer than some full episodes that Matt and I have done.
Yeah.
We just kind of kept going, and it was a great conversation. Like, really, all killer, no filler, but I edited it down to less than 10 minutes for the end of the episode. And on our Patreon, we put up the full thing. But, it was, no matter how good a conversation gets, you need to get to the core of it. What is it? And for us, for certainly convention coverage, it's a spotlight. If people want us, there's 9 years of content. But y'all were on our podcast for 7 minutes. Let's talk about the game. Let's have all of that happen and let it be a thing that then people, let that be a jumping off point. If people hear, our regular listeners of yours hear us and go, let's listen to Fun and Games, great, jumping off point. People hear Super Cucumber, hear that interview and go, let's, wishlist that game. That's what it needs to be.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that I also form stronger bonds in person. Love talking to
Same.
people online. We've had incredible guests and tons of guests that we've gotten to know after encountering them online. We love the folks at Toge Productions, and we had first met them through email, and then now every time it's a must stop at their booth to check in with them and chat with them, and they're always wonderful.
They do so many different things too, God.
Right. But there are other developers that I'm still only in touch with because I met in person first. Battery Staple, which made 20XX and 30XX.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're the head dev. Every time I see him at PAX now, because we talked for a half hour at that first PAX I met him at. He sees me, shouts my name, comes across the floor, while those relationships would be great, even if it was just for the function of promoting the game, the fact that it goes beyond that we are regulars at the Atari booth and we know the staff there, it just becomes a great way to make friends. And then when there's a game, you can also promote it or connect it or shout folks out. And getting to know you guys just over the weekend of PAX East, this is a connection that will last till when the game comes out, after the game comes out, whatever the next game is, and God bless you, hopefully many other games after that.
Right.
Fingers crossed.
Right. But that to me is more valuable than just a quick email or an online connection. Those have their place and their value too, but I feel like you can't really get to know the core of a person like you can when you are looking them face to face and having a good and calm chat with them.
Especially when everyone's super con tired, you just see
Yes.
you see the realness of the person.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just the
correct.
PR face. It's the
Exactly.
I've been here for the past 4 days and I'm
Yeah.
exhausted.
No,
I am 80% coffee by volume.
No, for
Exactly.
sure. Yeah. The caffeine is most of me now.
Oh, it's real. And it's that thing too where you make those connections at one convention and then you see them at a future one when we're still con tired and it's just hey, it's
Yeah.
good to see you again.
Yeah.
How's your
right.
weekend? Also tired? Cool.
I'm barely alive.
It still feels good though.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nice.
100%.
We're
Yeah.
people.
No, I couldn't agree more. Well, with all that said, thank you both for coming on. We really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah,
And thank you for
delight.
taking the time, like I said, originally at PAX, because as you described, it's just been so nice to be able to do this. We'll hang out at some other point in the future for certain, but it's just...
if you guys,
Absolutely.
if y'all will be at West, in
yeah, we'll
some
be there.
capacity, we'll
Try
be
to come
there.
by and
We
join
will.
us.
That's the plan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we will
but
be
no,
there.
it's been amazing, and it is incredible to meet folks like yourselves who are doing the good work,
Yeah.
playing stuff that they care about, and advocating for games that mean something to them. And we'll keep doing our tiny part to try to make games that we're proud of. So
Thank you for making the stuff that you love too. That's how we get good things in the world. We gotta care.
exactly,
Yeah,
100%. And that's the thing I love about before currently I'm doing game dev part time. Hopefully
Yeah.
if the game does well enough. Or full-time, rather, excuse me. Hopefully the
Yeah.
game does well enough, I'll keep doing it. But it has been such a relief to just put most of my effort into something that, we actually care about together. But yeah, with all that said, what's your stuff? Where can people find you? Where you want to follow them on social media? Where should they find the Fun and Games podcast?
Fun and Games Podcast is a conversation and interview podcast with an optimistic view of video games. As I alluded to before, we come at it with the idea that every game can be somebody's favorite. Nobody can play every game that's out there. So it's important to have these conversations and be the lens of our experiences as we make all these fun recommendations to each other. We have interviews with game devs, people in the game industry. We talk about whatever big or small things are going on in development. We have an upcoming episode that is about kind of the evolution of where roguelikes are going in the indie space. We've talked about controllers and console retrospectives. We've talked about what makes a good boss fight or all kinds of different discussions like that. And you can find that we're on any social media that we're on. We're Fun and Games Pod. funandgamespodcast.com should lead to us as well. We're part of the Certain POV network. CertainPOV.com leads to us, as well as to the Discord that we are regularly on, where we post new episodes. All the links and stuff are there. If you want to follow me and any of the things I'm working on, my thoughts on games and any projects that I'm doing as a voice actor, you can find jenmoonen.com, Gen Moonen. And any social media I'm on is Noise Generator, sometimes with a silent G in front of it.
And then you can find me in most places at djstormageddon.com. That's my Blue Sky handle as well. I do another podcast besides Fun and Games called Reignite. It is a retrospective podcast of BioWare games. Basically, it's a play-along podcast. We started with the Mass Effect trilogy, then moved on to Mass Effect Andromeda, and now we're playing the Dragon Age games under the auspice of what if we were in these games and how would we make the choices, and most importantly, which alien or fantasy characters we'd be kissing on, because
Hell
that's
yeah.
what really
The
matters.
important questions.
Yeah, that's the real shit in
The
both of
nitty gritty.
those.
No,
Yes.
for sure.
And we've been running. We're currently getting towards the end of Dragon Age 2, and then we'll be moving on to Inquisition after that. So if you want to follow along on that journey that myself and my co-host Frankie are taking, you can find Reignite as well at certainpov.com. We're Reignite Pod on every podcast platform. And then, of course, Fun and Games also has a sub-series called Side Quests, where a different host talks about a game they love and why they love it. It's in the same feed as Fun and Games, and each episode is like a short form love letter to a specific video game. And we welcome anyone who wants to do it, whether you're a game dev, other podcaster, or just someone with a voice memo and a dream. You can submit it and be a part of it. We do not repeat games, but we are always happy to chat with folks and find a game for them to chat about that they love. And so you can also find that where you find Fun and Games. And yeah, that's me.
Incredible. And then for us, if you want to check out the stuff we're working on, you can search for Super Cucumber on Steam. If you would wish list that, we'd really appreciate it. While you're there, if you scroll down the page, there's a Discord link where you can play the current build of Super Cucumber or get in touch with us directly. You can download this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other places that podcasts are found. If you've got an indie game that you would like feedback on, we love to play stuff when we get the time. Please email it to us at podcast@cubecorngames.com. I know there's one or two things we'll be checking out at some point in the not-too-distant future here. And I think that's all the stuff. So, yeah, with all that said, thank you, Lorraine, as always, for being here.
Pleasure.
And again, Matt, Jen, thank you guys both for making the time. We really, really appreciate it. It was an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, it was a blast. Happy to be here.
All right, well, I think that'll call it for the episode. So until next time, stay safe out there, and we will see you later.
Bye.